To make a program remember anything, like a username or a score, you need a place to store information. In Java, we use variables. You can think of a variable as a labeled container in your computer's memory, holding a specific piece of data until your code needs to use it. To create one of these containers, Java requires a specific declaration. You must state the data type, give the variable a name, and assign an initial value. Take this declaration: int age equals 20. Int is the type, age the name, equals is the assignment operator, and 20 the value. Variables use lower camel case, first word lowercase, others capitalized. Constants use upper snake case, all caps with underscores. These naming rules provide a standard structure for your code. This ensures that when you or another developer revisits the script, the intent is immediately clear. These containers aren't one-size-fits-all. Java splits data types into two categories: primitives and non-primitives. These categories define exactly how much memory a variable occupies. This flowchart shows the 8 primitive data types. These are the built-in building blocks of a language, ranging from simple true or false booleans to more complex floating point numbers. In this table, primitives vary by memory size. A byte is tiny, while a long holds massive integers. When initializing decimals, notice the suffix requirements. A float needs an F at the end, and a double uses a D. Text handling is also distinct. The primitive char stores a single character in single quotes. In contrast, string is a non-primitive type, storing sequences of characters in double quotes. Because string is technically an object, its type name must always be capitalized. Strings belong to the non-primitive or reference types, alongside arrays and classes. Unlike primitives, which hold a raw value, these types point to a specific address in the computer's memory where the data is stored. Choosing the correct data type is about memory efficiency. By matching the size of the container to the actual scale of your data, you ensure your program uses the machine's resources effectively. Once your data is stored, you need to manipulate it. Arithmetic operators like addition, subtraction, and multiplication allow you to perform math directly on your variables. A single equal sign assigns a value to a variable. A double equal sign compares two values. For logic, we use the double ampersand for and double pipe for or. The unary ++ operator increments a variable by 1. Let's see how these interact. Read through this code and try to determine the final state of the Boolean variable is winner. The answer is true. The score starts at 10, but the ++ operator increments it to 11. Because 11 is equal to 11 and also greater than 5, the logical AND condition is satisfied. Operators transform static data into dynamic logic. They are the tools allowing programs to calculate results and make decisions from stored information. This example brings all 3 components together. We have stored data, defined their types, and are now using a relational operator to make a comparison. Because the variable types are correctly defined, the operator can compare the value to the threshold and determine if the code inside the statement should execute. This summary provides the core rules for variable naming, primitive storage, and the most common operators you will use. Variables hold your information, types set the boundaries for that data, and operators provide the logic to manipulate it. These 3 components are the foundation of any application. You now have the basic vocabulary to define data and manipulate it within a Java environment. In our next lesson, we'll see how these logical operators are used to create complex pathways in your programs through control statements.